Today I'll be talking about the molecular orbitals of triatomic molecules. This is the next step after understanding how to draw the molecular orbital diagrams for homonuclear and heteronuclear diatomic molecules. So there are a few things that we need to know concerning this part of molecular orbital theory. The first thing being the combination of the atomic orbitals. In case of diatomic molecules, since there were only two atoms, there was no problem in combining the atomic orbitals to give molecular orbitals. Over there, what we did was we carried out LCAO, that is linear combination of atomic orbitals for the two constituent atoms to give rise to an equal number of molecular orbitals. But in this case, as there are three atoms, what is done is first the atomic orbitals of two atoms are combined to give ligand group orbitals. These ligand group orbitals are then combined with the atomic orbitals of the other atom to give rise to the molecular orbitals. The figure shown on screen is actually the molecular orbital diagram for carbon dioxide. As you can see, these represent the LGOs of oxygen, that is the ligand group orbitals of oxygen, and the left side represents the atomic orbitals of carbon. So there is no problem regarding the atomic orbitals of carbon, but this needs to be explained a bit. So as you can see, under 2s, two orbitals have been represented, sigma u and sigma g, and under 2p these have been represented, one sigma g, one sigma u, and two each of pi u and pi g. So from where did we come up with these? These are a result of the LCAO of the two oxygen atomic orbitals. Since CO2 is a linear molecule, this is comparatively easy and not too many symmetry considerations have to be carried out, because if you recall, for effective overlap between atomic orbitals to give rise to molecular orbitals, two things need to be matching. Firstly, the energy needs to be matching, and secondly, the symmetry needs to be matching. Only when these two criteria are satisfied do you get an effective overlap leading to an antibonding molecular orbital and a bonding molecular orbital. And the overlap is the greatest in case of sigma overlap. So the difference is the greatest in case of sigma sigma star, followed by the difference in between pi and pi star, followed by the difference between delta and delta star. This is because of the difference in effective overlap. So coming back to this specific case, in case of the oxygen atomic orbitals, they combine to give rise to LGOs. I am not going into the specific details here, but it is sufficient to know that these are the orbitals which result. So let's just get a basic idea of this. So oxygen has 2s and 2p orbitals. So that if you have two oxygen atoms, the 2s from each oxygen atom can undergo sigma bonding to give one bonding orbital and one anti-bonding orbital. So this sigma g is that bonding orbital and this sigma u is that anti-bonding orbital. Similarly, you have the 2p orbitals from the two oxygen atoms. So what are the types of overlap that the 2p can undergo? If you recall, as I have discussed in the previous videos, there are three types of P: PZ, PX and PY. So if we consider Z to be the bonding axis, then the two Z orbitals undergo sigma overlap and the PX and the PY undergo pi overlap. So the two oxygen atomic orbitals, PZ orbitals, combine to give one bonding and one anti-bonding orbital, which are this sigma G and sigma U, and the px and py combine to give pi g and pi u, which has been represented here. Here the pi u is the bonding orbital and the pi g is the anti-bonding orbital. Please refer to the previous videos on molecular orbital theory if you have any problems regarding this. So now that we are a little clearer about these LGOs will now undergo overlap with the carbon atomic orbitals. The easiest way to remember this is since these two 2s atomic orbitals are much lower in energy than any of the carbon atomic orbitals, they stay as they are. So they don't undergo any effective overlap. They are much lower in energy than any of these orbitals. Now coming to these atomic orbitals from oxygen. As you can see over here, the 2s from carbon has sigma g symmetry, and the 2p, this is the 2pz, 2px, 2py. So here the sigma g will undergo overlap with the sigma g here to give rise to this bonding orbital and this anti-bonding orbital. Here again the sigma u will undergo overlap with sigma u here to give rise to a sigma g, which is the bonding orbital, and a sigma u, which is the anti-bonding orbital. And here the pi u will undergo overlap with the symmetry matching pi u over here to give rise to 1 pi u, which is the bonding orbital, and the anti-bonding 2 pi u orbital. So instead of writing these just as pi u, pi g, they can be written instead as pi and pi star. So over here this should actually be g, because in case of pi overlap the bonding orbital is ungerried and the anti-bonding orbital is gerried. And this pi g, since there is no corresponding pi g among the carbon orbitals, that is why over here this pi g remains as a non-bonding orbital. So this is regarding the formation of the molecular orbitals. Now coming to the electron filling. How many valence electrons do we have to fill in? Carbon has 4 valence electrons and each oxygen has 6 valence electrons, which leads to a total of 4 plus 6 plus 6, which is 16 electrons. As you can see, I have filled in the electrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So ultimately we have filled in the electrons as shown, and if we analyze this molecular orbital diagram properly, we can see that the HOMO or the highest occupied molecular orbital is 1 pi g, which is a non-bonding orbital, and the LUMO is 2 pi g, which is an anti-bonding orbital. Also another thing can be said here, this 1 pi g, which is a non-bonding orbital, stays as lone pairs on the oxygen, and these two also remain as lone pairs on the oxygen. So if you draw the valence bond structure of carbon dioxide, you will see that there is a carbon in the center and 2 oxygens on the 2 sides, and each oxygen has 2 lone pairs. So basically the 4 total lone pairs can be explained as these and these electrons.